Or should I say dilly dilly? Wait. Dilly dilly. Absolutely. Thank goodness. Good morning. How are you? Or else I'm going to send you guys to the pit of misery. All right, so I'm going to be talking about mindset. It's funny because when Daniel and I first met, it was about 27 years ago when I met Daniel, and he was involved in this project. He since has mentored me, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go on. What I wanted to talk about first, though, is there's a quote by a gentleman, he's a futurist, and he writes books. His name is Alan Toffler. And what he said was, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be the individual that cannot read or write. The illiterate of the 21st century will be those that cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Wow. That was deep. And see, we all have our own ways of doing things, and I'm hoping that today what you'll do is just take a little bit of information, because my job is just to give you a nugget or two. Take what you need and discard the rest. Now, while I'm up here, and I'm small potatoes in comparison to all the other people like Colton and everyone else coming behind me, but guess what? Every big potato had to be a small potato first. And so know where you're going. See, and what I want to talk about initially is, in the magic, let me just be honest. I almost quit. I know you guys are like, I know a lot of people are like, Dirk, what are you talking about? I almost quit. I almost quit this business. I was a 4A. It was my first year in the business. And I had 20 some odd sales. And there. And can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. No, you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, reverb.
So anyway. It sounds good? Yeah. Okay. So I almost quit. I had 26, 27 sales, and I was like, this is too hard. I mean, the road that I was climbing, the bumpy roads, this prospecting, trainings, giving out water, the self-development, the training, it was too much. And then what happened was I was open, and someone invited me to a seminar. Not a magic seminar. When I was open, I was willing to learn. I was willing to do whatever it was going to take. And here's the reason why. Somebody had doubted me. Somebody had told me that I wasn't going to be successful in this business. And I don't know about you guys, but that is the way to motivate me. That's my motivating factor. And so I went to this training, and the guy said something that was enlightening. See, the first year, I had been doing this business on my own, the way that I was going to do it. I was attending one meeting a month. That's all I have time for. I'm not doing anything other than that. One meeting a month. And I go to this training, and this guy says, are you guys familiar with the 5M philosophy? Are you guys familiar with the 5M philosophy? More meetings mean more money. Say what? I've been doing this all, you mean I've been limiting myself and limiting my compensation because more meetings mean more money? From that 27 sales, the very next year I did 89. And moved to 6. I don't say that to her. No, I don't say that to her. But all is, if you get a principle or a concept or a premise right, then you're going to be able to move into a different direction. And I think that's what's important. Now, see, most of us have no idea where the end is. We don't know where we're trying to get to. See, if I'm over here and my goal is to get to land, can't walk, can't run, better not jog, it's going to be a problem. I need a different vehicle or tool. So my question is, what are the tools that you need to get to where you want to go? We all have different destinations. Where are you trying to get to? And if you don't understand where you're trying to get to, any road will take you there. And so what I had to do was I had to understand where it was I was going. And so what I did as a result, go ahead, switch, Ryan. because it's not. All right, there we go. There we go. What I had to do was, I had to create, thank you, brother. I had to create a vision. I had to, and understand this. Just because you can see doesn't mean you have vision. See, sight has to do with seeing. Vision has to do with being and what you can become. And that's where you want to understand and find yourself. What is it that I can become? Where is it that I have to go? See, I started writing, I started putting up maps and things, and now my vision is 6834, and I'm starting to write people's names in the boxes. Why? I'm visual. I'm audible also, but I need to be able to see it. Trust me, so do you. Most of you don't understand the compensation plan, and I know, because I see how, I hear about how some of you guys are building. And man, I just had a little quick 5-minute discussion with Colton. Man, he enlightened me to something that's brilliant. I'm not going to steal your thunder, Colton, don't worry, brother. But it was like, bam, it's like, whoa, Colton. And I'm like, how does this young dude know this stuff? Because he understands where his vision is. He has a vision. He knows where he's going. And that's what you got to get, is a vision for where you want to go. Now, understand this. We are all in a race. And you got to run your own race. You can't run Colton's race or Danny's race or Ryan's race or Mary Jane's race. You are in your own race. Just know what your finish line is. And if your finish line is 6823, know that, hey, I gotta set up some maps or I gotta set up a way to get there. And here's what I love. If you're a 1A to 3A in terms of rank, and Daniel go into the rank and compensation, and hopefully you'll understand this, man, you're like an athlete, man, you're just warming up. You're just getting ready. And then the starter says to the running blocks. And that's about 4A to 5A. Now, you're in the blocks. You know, y'all seen them. I used to run track about 35 pounds ago. But, you know, right here. And then you get in the blocks. You ain't even started the race yet. And then at 6A, bam, the gun goes off. And that's when you get to start the race. Everybody, most of the people in the magic, they think 6A is the ending. Oh, I'm here. No, you just started. You just getting started. You have a license now to earn money. Boom, come out the gates running at 6A. And then when you get to 6A2, celebrate a little bit, because that's a major milestone. That should be your first milestone. Why? Because that means that you were able to transfer your success to someone else. You were able to duplicate what you had already done. Now, celebrate for just a sec, but you still on the track. You still got to run, and you got to get to the middle of the race. And 2-2, that's about the middle of the race. But you're not done until you get here. And then you're only done for that race, because there's a race after that you must hit. And that's the race of going and helping the rest of your team come up to where you've come. And that is the beauty in a magic. That's what I love about a magic. You can't get ahead until you help others get ahead. It's like I think it was Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything in life that you want if you will help enough other people get what they want. And see, as we continue to give, as we continue to put out, as we continue to live that vision and be passionate and to encourage others and to transfer enthusiasm, that's when people will start to come and follow you. See, you've got to have what I call the proper premise. See, a premise is a noun that is assumed, something that is assumed to be true, from which a conclusion can be drawn. Guess what? A great premise in this business, I told you earlier, I almost quit. But guess what? A great premise is, if you don't give up, you will succeed. See, you're the only one who can determine whether or not you're going to succeed. And here are some premises. Cynthia Briganti does a training, and she talks about, you got to pray to God, and you got to believe God. And those are, and she's 100% right. However, in the study that I've done, and I'm an amateur on the Bible, but God has some principles in his word that you must begin to tag onto in order to assimilate the promises that he has given to you. And one of the premises is study. In 2 Timothy 2:15, like I said, I'm an amateur, but he says, study to show yourself approved, a workman that need not be corrected, rightly dividing the word of truth. But the premise is study. Are you studying? And what are you studying? And who are you allowing to change your mind? See, study, sowing. Whatever a man soweth, that also will he reap. If he sows sparingly, he will reap sparingly. But if he sows bountifully, he will reap bountifully. See, today I'm trying to give you some intellectual property. And you know what? I'm giving it for free. And here's the thing. I know that you're going to all use some of it. And it may be, we can't have a scarcity mentality. So many people out there are saying, oh, well, I wish they would just give us what it is we need to do. How come nobody ever talks about what it is that they're doing? We're doing that today. Did you come to the training? What's the last training you were at? We're doing that today. So here we go. Serving. Do you know that in order to be the greatest, you have to be the greatest servant? I remember when we were doing Hokkaido back in 2014. Danny had this huge event called Hokkaido. It was a monthly luncheon. That's why I would only go to one meeting a month. So anyway, he had this great luncheon he gave, and it was free because he would give these tickets away, and you could bring as many people as you want. Here was the craziest thing. Here's the guy that everybody came to see. Here is the guy that everybody's money is riding on him, and he has to deliver, and he always did. Now, guess what he was doing after he released 300 people to eat? Guess what he was doing? Wiping down tables. Had a rag. Sorry.
Take your time.
That to me was amazing. That's what a leader is about. Humility. And it's a lost art, but that's a beautiful thing. What about your thought life? What are you thinking? What are you putting in here? You know, I talked about the 5 philosophy already, but I love also what the Bible says in Philippians 4:7. It says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and mind." Finally, brother, do not think on those things. Think on those things that are noble, that are honorable, that are of good report. If there be any virtue in them, meditate on these things. How many of you are meditating on the problems? How many of you are meditating on the issues, on the struggles? And I get it, it's a struggle. In the beginning. Because the universe wants to find out how bad you really want what it is you say that you want. And so it's going to put you through every test that it possibly can to strengthen you, to bring you up, to fashion you so that you can move forward and once you get to the top, you don't want to get to the top and fall down. You want to get to the top and be a beacon of light so that you can bring others up. That's what a magic is about. See, and in doing that, there's something about this whole project that you've got to find a way to get your believer to believe. Why? Because everybody out there, we're early adopters. Nobody out there believes what it is that we're doing. Nobody's on the inside and they can't see what it is we get to see. We're on the inside of the house. We know this is real. We understand that, there has not been one check that I've ever cashed that has ever not gone through. The product is always working. It's phenomenal. But here's the thing. Because we hear so much negativity and because we surround ourselves with the wrong people, as a result, our believer is not believing. And so here's what I tell people. You have got to get to the point where your conviction, your communication, and your confidence is such that you can walk in and change a person's perspective. That's so important. I remember I was at a Magic, and a young lady came up to me. There's another free nugget for y'all. Go ahead and steal it. It's okay. But she came and she said she asked me a couple of questions, and she was getting free water. And I said, "You think that water is free?" She said, "Yeah, I've been getting it for 2.5 years. This is the best. This water is free." I said, "Sweetheart, that water is not free. That water has cost you 2 years of an opportunity. That water is costing you a tax deduction. That water is costing you the loss of income that could produce income for generations. That water ain't free. That water is costing you immensely." She brought him. I said, "Have you ever seen the demonstration?" "No, never seen the demonstration. This guy I know has been telling me to just come get the water." Because he didn't want to deliver the water, because she had been getting water. But he didn't convince her and show her why she should go see a demonstration. The same reason why the guy that first recruited me 2 years prior to me getting involved in this didn't show me a demonstration, didn't invite me to a meeting, didn't give me any information, didn't change my perspective. And so when I changed her perspective, got her to a meeting, she went to Mary Jane's meeting. Mary Jane does a little thing with the light bulb. If y'all haven't seen Mary Jane, she is the business. All right? She does a little thing with the light, and the girl stands up and goes, "Oh, she said a little something different. But she stood there, she saw that light come on when she put the little dabbers in the water and couldn't believe it. Water machine sold 7 in less than 3 weeks. Because her perspective was changed. We are perspective changers. And unless you get into understanding and knowing what it is you're attached with and affiliated with, you'll never understand how to change someone's perspective. Now, and here's the biggest issue, is you got this $1 million dream, but you're talking to $100 dreamers. Bad capacity. They don't have the capacity to understand what it is you're trying to share with them. And you aren't sharing it properly so as to expand their capacity. So the fault really lies with you and not them. See, you're begging. See, the little dog, you're begging for sales. There's no reason to beg. What you have is better than gold. It's liquid gold. It is. Look, have you seen the brochure of liquid? That's what it is. And then these are the kind of cats that you are presenting to. Man, I got this guy coming. Loser. You can look at him. And I'm not saying prejudge. I mean, bring him. But don't just bring him. You got to bring him. See, your dreams aren't what you leave behind when morning comes. They are the stuff that you fill every moment with. So go find $1 million dreamers. What you're looking for is someone that sees it just like you do. That's what you're looking for. See, and the other thing, you've got to understand that you are the umpire. You're the referee. Look, you can hit every ball. Why? Because if it goes to 4 strikes and I haven't hit it, then the game means we go to 5 strikes. And if I don't hit it, then we go to 6 strikes. The game don't end until I say it ends. Does that make sense? See, 4 putts. Nope, bring that back. We hit this putt again. Nope, I'm going to hit this putt again. See, and in Magic, you are the umpire. You're the referee. You determine all the rules. Start making the rules. Stop letting things distract you. I can remember when my buddy, 2 of my best prospects, one had 78 sales. The other one, in less than 2 months, had 22. They quit. They quit. Do you know what that is? I mean, this dude is supposed to go 6'8", and the other one's in another lane, and he's supposed to, they make one makes $300,000 a year, the other makes about $500,000. I thought these were, oh man, if anybody would do it, these are businessmen, entrepreneurs. They'll be able to see it. But there's something about the grit that is needed in order to finish the race, and they weren't able to finish the race. So what I'm telling you is, don't let those that don't finish the race distract you. And stay away from the SOS. That's the shiny object syndrome. Yeah, some of y'all already have it. Oh, did y'all see that new program? Did you look at that program? Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that beautiful young lady. Wow. And you all of a sudden, you got shiny object syndrome. You start moving away. And you've got to stay focused. Because in the magic, you've got to be, I love, Colin told me this morning. This is the other thing he told me. He said, you've got to be obsessed for a time period. And that was good stuff. Colin, I'm stealing all your stuff, man. And then, once you understand all this, guess what you got to do? This is an event. Stop just coming to events. Be an event creator. That's what Danny showed me. Danny showed me as a mentor to be an event.
Keep going. You're doing good.
Okay. I'm going to run into anyone else's time. Be an event creator. Because if you're an event creator, guess what? You can get the party started wherever you want to. It starts jumping whenever you arrive, the party starts. If you're an event creator. But if you're always, see, I love when Danny would do events for me. Man, they would go great. The only problem was, Danny got 52 lines. Is that right, Danny? About 52. Danny got 52 lines. He can't come and holler at me very often. Every now and then he can give me a morsel. And so I had to learn. I had to sit down and I had to understand, wow, this is how he gives the demonstration. I used to come to the presentation with nobody. And I'd come to the presentation just to listen. And I'd record. Guess what I found out? I can't do Danny. I can do a good me. I can do a good Dirk Adams, but I can't do a good Danny. Only Danny can do Danny. That's why I thought, man, I got to speak after Danny. I'm screwed. The word today, boys and girls, is S-C-R-E-W-E-D. I thought I was somewhere in the back or something. But here's the thing. You got to understand how you got to do you, boo-boo, as they say. You got to do you. And if you do you can be the best you that you can be. Nobody else can offer that to anyone. And so that's important. What we started doing, I was driving up north every 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, routinely. And because I had a guy up there that wanted to do the business, and he had a guy that was the biggest promoter in all of Northern California. He books, he makes all kinds of events, whether it's comedies, R&B groups, all this kind of stuff, and he's connected. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, man, if we can get this guy, do you know this guy bought a machine? And for 11 months, he did nothing. Now, every 6 weeks, I'm driving up to Northern California, driving up, coming back, driving up, coming back. About April of this year, he's got one sale, and that's because his buddy put it under him. He's got one sale, and he looks and he says, Dirk, I get it. I said, Shelly, what are you talking about? He said, I get it. He said, you're driving up and back. He goes, I've been wondering, why would this fool keep coming up here and nothing's happening? He said, I get it. In 4 months, he made 60 sales. He is balling. But guess what? I had to sow the seed. I had to keep creating perspective. And I had to change his base from where he was. See, he was already making big money. He already had the lifestyle that he wanted. So he thought. But see, a magic offers so much more than what people can see. And unless you get on the inside, you'll never see it. So I challenge each of you, get on the inside. And so what it's going to take is some sacrifice. See, in chess, there's this move, and it's called a sacrifice. If you don't play chess, I'll explain it to you. It's when you give up something of greater value in exchange for something of lesser value, so as to render your opponent in a position where he must turn over the game. It puts you in a better position, and it makes sure that that victory is inevitable. That victory is imminent within the next 3 to 4 moves because your opponent took the bait. Here's my question to you. What are you going to have to sacrifice in order to get to where you want to go? Because you got to give up something. And here's the one thing that's important to remember. We all have excuses, but I was reading a book by Mel Robbins. It's called The 5-Second Rule. And in her book, she said, you can have your excuses or you can have success. You just can't have both. Ponder that. As I think so, leaders are readers. Leaders are pointed towards getting new information. But most people are trying to get through the book. Don't get through the book. Get from the book. See, if it takes you, these are the different books, GoPro is a great one. 6 months to 6 figures, that young dude is unbelievable. The magic question. See, I just recently turned 6'2" on my first position. And we were about 8 days ago, we were 9 short of getting the bonus. That bonus is important, y'all. I don't care what nobody said. I want that bonus. So we were about 9 short. Because of this book, I immediately asked myself, what is it I need to do in order to solidify these 9 sales by Tuesday of next week? Because Thursday I'm leaving to go to NorCal to do anything. And that'll be too late. Do you know that I was able to come up with 20 names of individuals that I have already circled? And those individuals, we're 2 2/3 sales away in just 5 days. Why? Because of understanding and getting information outside of the normal channels. And I'm closing here. Everyone in here, all of you, you need a road dog and you need a mentor. That gentleman over there, right there, Don Outland, that is my road dog. That is the man that believed in me when nobody else believed in me. When he was pouring out the water for 6 months. But after he got the water and started trying to and understood the water was good, he believed in me. He nurtured me. Whenever things were down, when I almost quit, he was the one that said, Dirk, don't forget about our promise to each other. See, in February of 15, he and I had a conversation, and I said, Don, I think this is a 3-year project. I think realistically we have to look at this at the big picture. We can't evaluate this until we look at what's happening. See, you and I don't know a whole lot. So that's going to be a time that we're going to have to take into consideration. Anagic has a 16-month payment program. That's something that we also have to look at. Then we're going to have to get people on board and get them to the point that we're at. And so if you take all these things into consideration, Don, we can't really make a realistic assessment for 3 years. After 3 years, he's 6'8" and I'm 6'8" too. Look at that. How did that assessment go? And he's 87. Holla. So none of y'all have excuses. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Here's what I want to say. Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. Watch your actions. They become habits. Your habits become your character. And your character will reap your destiny. God bless. Thanks,